All right, so you've probably heard all the buzz about smart maintenance.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a hot topic.
But is it just like a trendy new name, or is it really a game changer for manufacturing?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out today.
Digging deep.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive to some really cool research by Bokrantz and his team.
Yeah, they actually talked to over 110 experts
Wow.
to get the real story on what smart maintenance is all about.
So no buzzword bingo here.
Nope.
We're going beyond the hype to understand what this really means for the future of manufacturing.
And for you,
Right. For you listening.
absolutely.
So first things first.
A basics.
What is smart maintenance, according to these researchers?
Well, they define it as
Hit me with it.
an organizational design for managing maintenance of manufacturing plants in environments with pervasive digital technologies.
Okay, so that's a mouthful.
It is.
But it sounds like it's not just about, throwing some fancy new tech at the problem.
No, not at all.
It's more about like a fundamental shift in how we think about maintenance.
Exactly. It's a whole new way of thinking about how we organize and execute maintenance in this, increasingly digital world.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Well, the researchers break it down into 4 core dimensions of smart maintenance.
4. Okay, so this is more than just, a simple concept.
Oh, yeah, it's multifaceted for sure.
Okay, let's break it down. What's the first dimension?
The first one is data-driven decision making.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward in the digital age, right? I mean, everything's about data these days.
You'd think so, right? But it's actually a much bigger shift than you might realize. It's about moving away from relying on gut feelings and guesswork.
So no more of that, I think it's time to service this machine kind of approach.
Exactly. It's about using data to inform those decisions and making them based on evidence.
So like those old school preventive maintenance plans where you just service equipment on a schedule whether it needs it or not.
Yeah, those are out the window with smart maintenance.
Got it. So data is king. But does that mean computers are taking over completely?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The research actually breaks it down into 2 categories: decision automation and decision augmentation.
2 categories. Okay, break those down for me.
So decision automation is where,
Algorithms.
like machine learning and AI and all that.
Exactly. They can actually make certain maintenance decisions faster and more accurately than humans.
So like predicting when a part might fail based on its performance data.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes sense. But you said there were 2 categories.
Right. The second one is decision augmentation. And that's all about humans and algorithms working together.
So it's not about replacing humans altogether.
No, it's more about using data to inform human judgment, not replace it completely.
I can see how this creates this like dance between human expertise and machine learning. So where do we draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There's definitely potential for conflict, but also incredible synergy if we can find the right balance.
To like this constant push and pull. Yeah, and it plays out differently in different contexts too. Like think about the equipment you use. How much can machine learning really understand about its quirks and nuances? That's where human experience becomes super valuable.
Right. So for everyone listening out there, think about the maintenance decisions in your world. Which ones seem like they could be automated, and which ones still need that human touch?
It's something to really ponder because it gets even more interesting as we explore the other dimensions of smart maintenance. And the next one might surprise you because it emphasizes people.
Wait, so in this high-tech smart maintenance world, people still matter. I thought we were all about robots and algorithms now.
That's a common misconception. The truth is, people are more important than ever in this new landscape.
So it's not just about having warm bodies on the factory floor.
Not at all. This is about having the right people with the right skills to thrive in this new environment.
So the skills gap everyone's talking about,
Exactly. The research actually identifies 6 broad categories of skills that are essential for smart maintenance: analytical, ICT, social, business, adaptability, and of course, technical.
okay, so we need people who can not only crunch the data, but also understand the business side of things, communicate effectively, and work in a team.
Absolutely. And the need to adapt and learn as technology evolves is more critical than ever. One of the quotes from the study that really stuck with me was, "We have to perform our tasks in a different way with the help of data, so we need to develop our competencies." It is a completely different set of skills compared to 10, 15 years ago.
Wow, yeah, that really highlights how much things are changing. It's like a whole new ball game, right?
It really is. And it makes you wonder, how do these evolving skill sets apply to your role or industry?
Right. What skills are becoming more important? Which ones are fading away?
These are the questions we all need to be asking ourselves.
Especially as we dive into the next dimension of smart maintenance, which
Right.
is
Internal integration.
internal integration. But what does that even mean? Is it about everyone on the factory floor doing synchronized dance routines or something?
Huh. Not quite. It's about breaking down those silos within the plant.
Ah, so no more maintenance team off in their own little world.
Exactly. Think shared data, information, and knowledge between maintenance and other departments, especially production.
So more collaboration.
Absolutely. Better communication and collaboration lead to better decisions, less conflict, and ultimately a more efficient operation.
There's a great anecdote in the research that really drives this point home.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
One of the experts said, something just hit me now that we are discussing this. It is absolutely impossible to succeed with this without collaborating with production. If it is not firmly anchored with them, it will never work. So, it's like marriage communication is key.
I love that analogy. And, when you have that strong internal integration, it often elevates the status of the maintenance function within the organization.
Instead of being seen as just a cost center.
Right. They become a strategic partner, a valuable asset to the company.
So for everyone listening, take a moment to think about your organization. Where are the biggest integration opportunities? Where are the silos that could be broken down?
Because those are the areas where you can make a real impact.
And speaking of looking beyond our immediate surroundings, let's move on to the final dimension, external integration.
Yes, expanding our horizons.
So now we're going beyond the plant's walls. Are we sending our maintenance team on a tropical retreat?
Haha, tempting, but no. This is about building strategic partnerships with suppliers, participating in industry networks, and maybe even being part of larger ecosystems.
So it's about recognizing that you don't have to go it alone. You can tap into a wealth of knowledge and resources outside your own company.
Exactly. And data plays a huge role here. One expert said, someone who works with maintenance in one plant in one company will always be outperformed by someone who works with the same equipment in more than one plant.
Because they're seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. They can see how similar equipment is performing across multiple locations and learn from each other's successes and failures.
It's about breaking out of that, this is how we've always done it, mindset, and embracing a more collaborative approach.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So for you listening, what external resources could you tap into? Are there other plants using similar equipment that you could learn from?
Or industry networks you could join to share best practices. These are all great questions to consider.
Definitely. Because ultimately, smart maintenance is about moving beyond our own little bubbles and embracing a more connected and collaborative approach to maintenance.
But is smart maintenance something a company either is or isn't doing? Or is there more to it?
That's a brilliant question, and it leads us perfectly into the next stage of our deep dive. Because smart maintenance isn't just a destination, it's a journey.
A journey. So are we all just wandering through the wilderness of smart maintenance, hoping to stumble upon the promised land?
Not exactly. It's more like everyone's on a different point on this path, moving away from traditional models towards increasingly smarter approaches.
I like that. So some companies might be just dipping their toes in the water.
While others are already doing laps in the pool.
Exactly. And figuring out where your organization falls on that spectrum is crucial. Because you can't really chart a course for the future if you don't know where you're starting from.
That's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back after a short break. Okay, so we've got these 4 dimensions of smart maintenance, data-driven decision-making, human capital, internal integration, and external integration.
Right?
But are they just like separate ideas, or do they kind of like work together somehow?
That's where things get really fascinating because they're not just separate ideas, they're all interconnected.
So they all kind of influence each other.
Exactly. They influence and amplify each other. It's like...
A system?
It is a system, yeah. It's like a tapestry where each thread contributes to the overall, strength and beauty of the fabric.
Okay, I love that analogy. But let's untangle this a little bit. Where should we even begin?
Well, one of the most interesting relationships is between data-driven decision-making and the human capital resource.
Yeah, that's one I'm kind of scratching my head about. On the one hand, we've got all these algorithms crunching numbers and making predictions.
Right.
But on the other hand, we've got these experienced maintenance pros who really understand the equipment and the plant.
Yeah.
So are those two forces at odds with each other?
Well, it's not really a black and white situation. There's that big debate about artificial intelligence in the workplace.
Yeah, or robots going to take our jobs.
Exactly. But in the context of smart maintenance, it's not about replacing humans, it's more about collaboration.
Collaboration, okay.
Yeah, the researchers actually found that machine learning can both substitute and complement human capabilities.
Yeah. So you got me really intrigued. Explain that to me.
Well, think about it like this. Machine learning is really good at prediction. It can analyze historical data and, identify patterns and forecasts when a piece of equipment might fail.
Right.
But it doesn't have that nuanced understanding of the real-world environment that a human expert brings to the table.
So instead of replacing humans, it frees them up to focus on things machines can't do.
Exactly. Humans can use their expertise to interpret those predictions and then, develop maintenance strategies and implement them effectively.
So it's like having a superpowered assistant who can crunch the numbers while you, with your years of experience, get to be the strategic mastermind.
Exactly. It's a powerful combination.
I like it. But it's not just about, data and people, right?
Mm-mm.
What about the connection between data-driven decision-making and integration, both internal and external?
Oh, you're absolutely right. That connection is super important.
Right.
Remember, data needs to flow freely within the organization
Okay.
to make smart decisions. So if maintenance is operating in a silo, hoarding data and not sharing with production or other departments,
Not talking to anyone.
exactly, that's going to limit their ability to make those data-driven decisions.
And the same goes for external integration, right? If you're not sharing data with suppliers and partners, you're missing out on valuable insights.
Precisely. So both internal and external integration, they kind of act as catalysts for data-driven decision-making.
So it's like laying the groundwork for a strong data foundation.
Exactly. It's not just about having the data, it's about making sure it gets to the right people at the right time.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about the connection between human capital and integration? Is there a link there too?
Oh, absolutely. Remember those 6 skill categories we talked about earlier? Analytical, ICT, social, business, adaptability, and technical.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you have a maintenance team with all those skills, but they're not integrated with the rest of the organization.
Okay.
What happens?
It'd be like having a Ferrari stuck in first gear. All that power, but nowhere to go.
Ah, that's a perfect analogy. Integration is about unlocking that power, allowing those skilled professionals to collaborate and share their knowledge and work together to solve problems.
And this doesn't stop at the plant's walls, right? External integration is important here too.
Oh, absolutely. When you have strong external integration, your maintenance team can tap into the expertise of suppliers, partners, and those industry networks.
So it's like expanding their knowledge base exponentially.
Precisely. It's like giving them access to a whole library of knowledge and experience.
So integration is really about maximizing the value of your human capital, both internally and externally.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment where those skilled professionals can thrive and contribute their full potential. But, there's one more relationship I want to touch on, and it's the connection between internal and external integration.
Oh, okay. So they're connected somehow.
Yeah, in a way, internal integration is the foundation for successful external integration.
So you're saying you need to get your own house in order before you start inviting others in.
Precisely. If you have poor communication and collaboration within your own plant, it's going to be tough to build those strong relationships with external partners.
Right. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. It's just not going to work.
Exactly. So internal integration creates that stable base, and from there you can extend those connections outwards.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part. Those external connections can actually strengthen internal integration.
Wait, really? How does that work?
Well, when you're sharing data and best practices with external partners, it can lead to new insights and innovations that can then be brought back into the plant.
So it's a virtuous cycle.
It is. Internal and external integration feed off each other, creating a more resilient and adaptive organization.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's like a complex ecosystem where everything is interconnected.
That's a great way to put it. And that's what makes this whole journey towards smart maintenance so fascinating. These 4 dimensions aren't static, they're dynamic and interconnected.
But that change doesn't happen overnight, right? We talked about smart maintenance being a journey, and some journeys are longer than others.
Absolutely. One of the big challenges is figuring out where your organization falls on that journey, because different companies will be at different stages of maturity when it comes to smart maintenance.
So some companies might just be dipping their toes in the water, while others are already swimming laps.
Uh-huh. That's a great way to put it. Some might be just starting to experiment with data-driven decision-making,
Right.
while others are well on their way to building, a fully integrated smart maintenance ecosystem.
So the big question is, how do you even begin to assess your organization's maturity level? What are some of the key indicators?
That's a question we'll be exploring in more depth in the final part of our deep dive.
Part 3.
Yes, because understanding your starting point is crucial for developing a roadmap for the future.
It's like trying to navigate a new city without a map.
Exactly. You might eventually find your way, but it's going to take a lot longer, and you'll probably get lost a few times along the way.
So stay tuned as we continue to unravel the complexities of smart maintenance.
And hopefully equip you with the tools you need to embark on your own smart maintenance journey.
Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our smart maintenance deep dive. We've talked about those 4 dimensions, data-driven decision-making, human capital, internal integration, and external integration.
Right. A lot to unpack.
And we've explored how they all kind of weave together to create a system that can really, transform maintenance.
Yeah, a whole new way of thinking about it.
But now for the million-dollar question.
The big one.
Where does your organization actually stand on this journey? Because smart maintenance isn't something you can just, flip a switch and turn on.
No, it's definitely a process.
It's more like a spectrum of maturity.
with companies at different stages of adoption.
So how do we even figure out where we are on that spectrum?
Well, the researchers actually gave us some clues. Remember that opposite pole we talked about?
Oh, what?
The absence of smart maintenance? You know what it looks like when it's not there.
Ah, right. Like the dark side of the smart maintenance moon.
Exactly. They asked the experts what lacked smart maintenance, and they basically described the negative versions of those 4 dimensions.
Okay, so flip it around.
Yeah. So if your decision-making is based on gut feeling and not data, that's a pretty good sign you're at the lower end of the spectrum.
So if I'm still relying on instinct and a rusty wrench to keep things running,
It might be time for an upgrade.
uh-huh, yeah, probably a good idea. And it's not just about data, right? What about if your maintenance team is totally isolated from everyone else?
Yeah, if you're lacking those integration points, that's another red flag.
Working in a silo never really works out, does it?
Nope, not very smart.
And what about skills? If your team's struggling to keep up with all the new technology,
That's a big indicator that you might be further down that maturity scale.
so it's like a self-assessment for your entire maintenance operation, checking those vital signs to see how healthy your smart maintenance heart really is.
I like that analogy. And remember, maturity isn't just about the tech.
Right, it's about people and processes too.
You can have all the fancy sensors and AI in the world, but if your team doesn't have the right skills or the culture doesn't support collaboration.
Then it's kind of pointless.
Exactly. It's a holistic transformation. It touches every part of the maintenance function.
Okay, so let's say we've done our assessment and we know where we stand. We know it's a journey, not a quick fix.
Ah.
But is there like a set path that every company follows? Is there a smart maintenance map we can just download and follow?
Well, here's the thing. The research actually suggests there's no single right way to implement smart maintenance.
So no magic roadmap.
Nope. The journey is going to be different for every company.
Makes sense. Every company's different.
Exactly. It depends on your industry, the specific challenges you're facing, all those things.
Okay, so no shortcuts. We've assessed our maturity. We know it's a journey, and there's no single map to follow. So what's next? What do we do with all of this? Any advice for our listeners who are, ready to jump in?
Well, my advice would be to start small.
Don't try to do everything at once.
Exactly. Don't try to boil the ocean. Pick one area where you can make a real difference. Maybe it's a pilot program for data-driven decision-making on a critical piece of equipment.
Or focusing on improving communication between maintenance and production.
Right, baby steps. Whatever you choose, make sure it aligns with your overall business goals and that you have buy-in from the people who will be implementing the changes.
Because you need everyone on board.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment and learn as you go.
It's all about continuous improvement.
It is. This is still a relatively new field, so there's no playbook. Embrace the learning process.
It's more about evolution than revolution, I guess.
And the companies that are most successful will be the ones who can adapt along the way.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground.
I think so. We've explored the what, the why, and the how of smart maintenance.
Hopefully everyone listening now has a better understanding of what smart maintenance really means, beyond all the buzzwords.
And how to actually start implementing it.
And maybe most importantly, that it's a journey
Not a destination.
with lots of different paths you can take.
Find what works for you.
So as you head back into your world, whether it's a busy factory floor or, a quiet office.
Or even just your car.
Take a moment to think about what a smarter, more integrated approach to maintenance could look like for you.
What's that first step
Even a small one,
that you can take today?
to move yourself or your organization further down that path.
That's what it's all about.
That's all for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into smart maintenance.
Until next time.